Now we will switch over to our Kraken here. Um, I talked about photos, but we'll have that in a second here. So it was I said overall it's a good week. The Kraken ended their road trip, their post All-Star game road trip. Um, they uh where was I? Oh yes, Valentine was that Valentine's Day? Yeah, Valentine's Day against the Winnipeg Jets was a 3-2 loss in an overtime shootout. So the Kraken are still winless in shootouts this season, unfortunately. Our player of the game, I went with John Hayden. He scored on his birthday. 1 goal, 1 point, 1 plus minus, 1 shot, 1 hit, and 1 block. Philip Grubauer had a great game in that one, but with it going to a shootout, it didn't really matter, unfortunately. The Kraken would be able to bounce back when they return home on the 16th of February versus the Philadelphia Flyers, a 6-2 win. Our player of the game, Yanni Gordo, with 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points, 5 shots, and a 2 plus minus. Yanni, he's like the Energizer Bunny. Like even if you'll notice during the national anthem, he's still jumping up and down like a madman. Someone gave that man too much cotton candy before he went out there. And he's one of those guys where his effort is nonstop, but it doesn't always mean points, right? Which but it was good to see him get that on the stat sheet there. And then on the 18th versus the Red Wings, when the Kraken celebrated Black Hockey History Night, Seattle would beat the Red Wings and end their 5-game win streak, beating them 4-2, which actually it's not out yet. The production's not out yet, but before the game, our guy Everett Fitzhugh predicted a 4-2 win, and then got a 4-2 win. So that's pretty cool. Player of the game, Jordan Eberle, Ebbs, 2 goals, a pretty darn similar stat line to Gordo. 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points, 4 shots compared to Yanni's 5, and a 2 plus minus. Overall, again, like I said, I'd be pretty happy with that 3-game stretch there. Obviously you'd like to get the win in Winnipeg in that shootout and finally get a win in a shootout this year. But to pick up the 1 point with the overtime loss, fine, sure. Every point counts in this division. Excuse me, Philly, you completely dismantle them. Happy with that. I should still send you that, Bell. I forgot. I should have sent you that. But, just thinking about what we do, right? The Philly coach, John Tortorella, after the game was just like, how Marshawn is, how he doesn't want to talk to the media, right?
Mhm.
Tortorella didn't want to talk to the media, but he was a a-hole about it. He was very rude about it, and just total dick. And someone's like, well, you lost this game by 4 goals, right? It's like, how do you someone asked him how the fans should feel or whatever, or what he would say to the fans. He goes, I don't care about the fans. I care about this hockey team. I'm like, I get what you're saying, but don't say that. Don't say that, especially when this team is that Flyers team has sucked like it has this year. Just, glad that's not us though. Wouldn't let that happen to me. And then that game against the Red Wings, and like I said, celebrating Black hockey history. The great logo designed by REG, a local artist at the South Ender. That's THESUSOU, pardon me, FENDER. I had to go and get that. Oh, because there's that logo with the. Oh wait, it's on my hat too. Duh. You
Mhm.
got Mount Rainier and the sunrise, and then the Kraken logo. But then the secondary logo, you've seen the anchor before, but he took the anchor and he added the Egyptian ink on it, which is a really cool idea. I've got the sticker for that, so I don't know what I want to put it on because I want it to last.
There
Um,
were stickers.
I'll see if I can grab you one tomorrow. I'll figure that out. But that was a really cool night. We had some of our Converge friends there, and there will be a production out for that. So keep an eye out for that. Obviously, we're on CSS on Converge. But no, I was happy with the way that the week went. Um, I think we should go into players of the week before we continue general discussion because we'll probably just run into that anyway. So, Bell, you went with Jordan Eberle. Now it makes a lot of sense, and I understand it. And again, every week it's like I would go with what you did, but I tried to be different. So why did you go with Ebbs?
I went with Evs because he had half of the goals scored on February 18th versus the Detroit Red Wings, which was just like we said, a monumental night. The Kraken are only one of 14 teams to celebrate Black Hockey History Night. So, just like I said, on a big night, he really produced, and he also a big night because the dads were in town. So the newly dad who had his dad there watching had a great game. So yeah, it just that's the reason why I had to go with Everly. But I did really like watching the against the Philly Flyers. Yanni Gord's second goal was beautiful. So it was a tough pick this week,
That was
but
that was God. Yeah, no, I'm a fan of Yanni for a lot of reasons. But yeah, just to see him get rewarded for that week was pretty impressive. And then that clapper that he had, I was just like, wow, that was, But yeah, Eberle too, to speak on it, he's 2 points away from matching last season's total, obviously, and we haven't even hit the trade deadline yet. Um, you know, as a veteran guy, as an alternate captain, as a leader on this team, um, obviously his presence as a whole is going to be important, but to see uh the production as well is really important. Every point it matters. The like 5 points separate the number 1 team from the 5 team in this division. Those 5 teams are all in the top 16 teams in the NHL. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But when you've got performances like that, and your starting goaltender continuing to play like he has since the year 2023 has begun, things are going to go well normally. I went with Gruby. Gruby had a 926 save percentage over the 3 games. He started all 3 of those games. He started 4 consecutively. I like 95. Like if I could bet money, I would put money on Martin Jones starting tomorrow. I highly doubt Gruby goes out there for a 5th straight. It just wouldn't make sense. And Martin's playing against his former team anyway.
yeah.
And over the course of those 3 games, Phil had 3.08, but we'll just round to 3. His goals saved above expected. If you don't know what that means he basically 3 goals that should have happened didn't because of his play. So, Bel, before I share that great photo that we've got there, on my article after the Kraken lost to the Avalanche here in Seattle in January, which is a really tough game, a tight game. Seattle was banged up injury-wise. They didn't have a bunch of forwards, so you could argue that their offense should have been there, and they should have been in there anyway. They didn't give Gruby any goal support. That win against Philly was actually the most goal support they've ever given him. I got a comment under that article that I was stroking his ego.
Yes, you've mentioned it before.
Yeah, and I'm going to mention it again because that was a really stupid thing to say. I don't kiss behind just to kiss behind. It has to be for good reason. Since his first start of 2023, and I mean they're like 0.001% off, so we'll just lump them together. And since that comment, his save percentage has been 0.926, which is really, really good. And that goal saved above expected is an entirely like that's that save percentage could be fine. It's like, okay, you got great defensive play in front of you. But with the goal saved above expected, it's like, okay, you're actually playing really well. Right? What do you want me to do? I don't kiss behind to kiss behind. I know what I'm talking about most of the time. We'll get to see Dragons in a bit. I picked Brendan Knox as my player to watch. He scored tonight. He looked great tonight offensively. So stroking his ego. Stupid. Anyway, here's a great photo of Gruby from the win against the Red Wings where Phil was one of the stars of the night after that win, and he pointed to, I think he said a little girl, Bell, in the crowd, and had the fish go through the photo hole. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, this one, I mean, look at the detail on that. You can see the sweat on his head. Jesus. That was pretty cool. So I think we'll do that more as we go going forward with players of the week. We should include the photo like this so you can get the whole thing on the screen there. Goodness.
Yeah.
Like even I felt bad when I used Matt's photo of Taylor Trammell in the Mariners segment. It's a really great photo, but because of the dimensions, I had to squeeze his head in there. So, you know. Anyway, not too much injury news going on. Andre Burakovsky still is week to week. He was in the locker room in street clothes after the win against the Red Wings, but he hasn't been on the ice again. He's week to week. I probably won't hear anything about him until maybe a week from now. So that's your update on that. On the 17th, the team reassigned forward John Hayden to the Coachella Valley Firebirds, leaving a roster spot open. Some people hypothesize that could be because of a trade. And they're like, oh, Berkey's not back yet. So what's this about? I think the only reason they did that is because if he stayed up here for a certain amount of time, there would have been a cap thing where he would have counted against the cap. So I'm not going to put much stock into it. So if we see him called back in a few days or they call a different forward up, probably why. But I won't put too much stock into it personally. Looking ahead for our Kraken. Oh, wait, that's you. Oops. That's your job.
we sit at a.
I was just I was in a mode where I was moving. Sorry about
You're
that.
good. I mean, I know you can handle it all by yourself, but let me chime in here. We sit at third in the Pacific with 70 points at 32, 18, and 6 record. Looking ahead, we have a game at San Jose on February 20th, and that is tomorrow. That's a 1 p.m. game on the 23rd versus Boston. They'll come back home to Climate Pledge. That's a 7 p.m. puck drop. And then February 26th versus the Toronto Maple Leafs with a 4 p.m. puck drop.